what brought you, just back to the beginning, what brought you here as the superintendent?
Well, first of all, Highland Park was a district that has a national reputation, and certainly within the state of Texas, I knew of Highland Park. I also had a very good professional relationship with Kathy Bryce, the superintendent at that time. We had worked together in state legislative affairs, those sort of things, and so it was easy for me to be interested in it. When I interviewed with the board and they spoke of their commitment to education for all children in Texas and the things that were important to them, I became even more interested. They obviously felt it was a good fit as well, and so 6.5 years ago I came to Highland Park, and it's been a wonderful experience.
All right, and so throughout all that time,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of changes have occurred. A lot
Sure.
of things have been done. So, what would you say,
Mm-hmm.
if you had to pick, was your greatest achievement as
Okay.
superintendent?
Well, I might frustrate you there a little bit because there's really not ever a greatest achievement, and it's also as superintendent. I mean, my belief in leadership has always been that it's collaborative leadership. It's about, you know, helping people work together towards a common goal. So the things that I am particularly proud of, and I think that are significant, were the result of many people working very hard towards it. But the work that we did around the concept of the learner for the future and the educator for the future, and then really the kind of school district, the way it needs to be organized to support that, I think is significant work. And there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, it built on the best work that was already going on in Highland Park ISD. So the work we had done with teachers before I got here in terms of really thinking through about, that lessons need to be engaging, that teachers need to think of themselves as people who design engaging work for students, not as people who simply stand and deliver information, was important work. And so the learner for the future, that profile, and the educator really built on a foundation of excellence that was already there. So the importance of that to me is it's something that the community can look at, parents can look at, a kindergarten teacher can look at it, a physics teacher can look at it, a student can look at it, and if you're willing to engage in thought around it, you can see a place for yourself in there, and you can see something to aspire to or a thing to grow in. And so it's a strategic document, but it's dynamic, and I think it will continue to grow as our understanding of the challenges that students face and the need to prepare them grows. So very pleased in it. And again, it was a highly collaborative effort, and that was important to me.
Okay, and as that would be an obvious one of what I'm about to ask, but how would you say that Highland Park, in what other ways is Highland Park distinguished as a school district, and how have you furthered that image of excellence and dedication?
I think the thing to me that set Highland Park apart when I first looked at it, and that certainly became so strongly reinforced that I got here, is there's just an absolute broad-based commitment to achievement, to excellence, and to effort. And I think people that aren't part of Highland Park may not understand just how hard students work and the commitment they make to work hard. And one of the things that has struck me in looking at Highland Park, for instance, at high school, the number of students who are eager to challenge themselves to take rigorous coursework. So when you start talking about 85% of your juniors and seniors are in at least one advanced placement course, and many of them are in far more than that. But they also make a commitment to, whether it's in the fine arts or in athletics or in community service or other forms of leadership, that they're just, as a student body, they work very, very hard. And you see that pattern early on. When I have been in elementary schools, little first graders stopping you in the hall and speaking to you, and very comfortable with that idea, and just that ongoing commitment of that I'm part of something special, I'm going to work hard, my parents are going to work hard, and we're going to do important work. I think it sets this district apart from all others.
But on the other hand, what in your day-to-day job do you like the best? Just what's your favorite part?
Well, you know, really, I think my favorite part is when I have those direct opportunities to work with principals and teachers, you know, in the work. And in the course of this week, I've had a couple of occasions where a group was down here working with a district level administrator around the work they're doing to help create a digital portfolio so that we can gather really great evidence of student learning. And that's beyond what standardized tests tell you. And so when I see a group of teachers who are, again, this meeting, when I stepped into it, it was 5 o'clock in the evening. They had already been there. They had taught all day. They'd come down shortly after school was out. They were working hard. And when I have a chance to sit down and support that kind of work and recognize the really strong commitment that our teachers and principals and administrators are making to continuous improvement and ongoing effort, that's the most rewarding part of the job. It's the part that I will miss the most in making a transition out of my work as the superintendent.
All right, and with all that in mind, and with your day-to-day involvement and everything, is there anything that, given the opportunity, you would do differently?
That I would do differently? I am sure if I sat down and thought about it that there's any number of things that you would do differently. You know, if I have, as I've looked in 25 years of being a superintendent, the greatest, you know, challenge that I've really faced in that, in terms of the way I work, is not getting bogged down in really all of the just administrative burdens of being a superintendent. So, you know, to the extent that I don't get out into classrooms as much as I wanted to, that I'm not out actually interacting at the campus level, that's probably the thing that I've always had to work hardest to do, is to be able to spend that kind of time actually being in a teacher's classroom, to observe instruction, to interact with them around what they were trying to do. So, and that's a time management issue, but the reality of that when you're working on finance and legislation and budgeting and all those other sorts of things, there's a time element that you just can't get away from.
Okay, and what would you like to see the next superintendent accomplish, and along with that, what would you hope for the future of Highland Park as a whole?
Well, what I wish for the next superintendent is that he or she really just simply have the opportunity to employ whatever their unique talents and gifts are, you know, in the way that is, you know, most productive and satisfying for them. And really what I mean by that is that Highland Park is a place that when you come into it, there are some superintendencies where every day really is dedicated to crisis management. It's you know, it's kind of like there's a sense of survival, but in Highland Park, it's about thriving. And you really just have such an opportunity to, for one, be more reflective, to think more deeply, to work more closely with people on a growth orientation. And so, you know, I want the next superintendent to be able to deploy their unique gifts and talents in the way that makes the most sense. Now, what I felt when I came into this district was a responsibility to really understand the traditions of excellence, the commitments that had already been made, and I feel confident that the next superintendent will want to deeply understand the tremendous work that parents and teachers have done. If I really look at the time when Dr. Bryce was here, through the time that I've been here, there's been a 12-year commitment to enhancing the role of the teacher as a leader and engaging them in the important work of the district. And I think that's an important tradition and theme that will be honored by whomever comes in.
Okay, and kind of in that vein, when it comes to the decision of your retirement, was this sparked by any event? Was it something that you considered over time? How did that unfold?
Both. You know, very candidly, this is if I include my 2 years as a full-time graduate student at the University of Texas when I was working on my PhD, this is my 40th year as a K-12 educator. It's my 25th year as a superintendent. So certainly, you know, in your career, there are stages. I mean, there was a time when I thought about, well, I want to be a superintendent. And then I thought about, well, I want to be a superintendent in a larger district. I want to be in this sort of role. I want to become more engaged in this. And then, in the last few years, I've been acutely aware, well, I'm not going to be a superintendent forever, and so how do I still want to make a difference and contribute to the field that I love so much and the profession I love so much? A transition to university is not a hard thing for me to do because I've always valued the academy. I've always valued the idea of being a practitioner scholar, or hopefully a scholarly practitioner, whatever you want to do there. And my father was a school administrator who became a college professor of educational administration. So that certainly was, a path that I knew of. So I had envisioned at some point moving to a university. So that was kind of that long-term gradual as I've thought about my career, my life, my age, what you want to do. The SMU opportunity was a little sudden in that they made a decision to now start offering a doctorate of education degree with superintendency certification, which is new for them. They have not done that. So a new program comes up at the same time that the current department chair is making her own career transition, which is to retire. And so a new program with a unexpected opportunity presented itself, and it seemed like the right thing for me to have a chance to be on the ground floor of a really exciting new initiative that would allow me to work directly with people who aspire to be a superintendent or district level leader. And so, again, it was a combination of both. A little long-term and then an event.
Okay. And working just down the street,
right.
Just out of curiosity, do you think anyone will see you at any sporting events at Highland Park, anything like that in the future?
I will model what Dr. Bryce did when she left. Is I want to be very respectful of the role of the new superintendent and allow that person to establish their own identity. And so in that sense, I'm not going to be coming into the district in an initial period. I think just like Dr. Bryce, when that first playoff game came, she called and she said, I think I'd really like to come to that game. And I said, well, I really hope you'll be there. I'm on row 24, come see me. So yes, you don't lose your love of, kids that are, and young men and women that are dedicating themselves to excellence. So over the years, I'm sure I will see them not only in athletic events, but I will look forward to their concerts. And, who knows, I might pop in on a senior play 2 or 3 years from now. But initially, I want to give that appropriate space to the person that follows me.
All right. Do you have any closing remarks?
It's been a wonderful experience. I really, cannot think of a finer district in which to, call this part of my career to a close. It's been an honor to have worked with the students and parents and teachers and administrators of this district, and I am very pleased that I'm really not going to be that far away and that I will have an opportunity to continue building the relationship between Southern Methodist University and Highland Park ISD, which I think will have great, benefit for the students and staff.
Okay. Very good to meet with you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.